my friend, it's Pat Sloan here. So today it is bingo day. If you have a quilt with bingo on it in some form or another, share that at the group Quilt Along with Pat Sloan. I do not have anything like that, and I realize I've not played bingo that much, maybe just a little bit, but I think that's fun. I think it's fun to have those kind of game quilts like that. Also, I burnt my thumb on my iron at the top here. Yeah, be careful. My hands do not work the same as prior to breaking my wrist. They seem to I drop more, and I don't have the same spatial relation with them for some reason. I did exercises for that, so I know that that's a thing. But anyway, I ended up burning my thumb. Okay, all right, enough of that. And it is June, right? Still June 28th, which is tomorrow, is our wedding anniversary. Greg and I, 44 years, which is super hard to believe. That's a long time. Still going strong. Yes, we are still going strong. So if you are a June bride, tell me about it in the comments here at YouTube, or go over to our community chat group at Facebook, Fireside Chat with Pat Sloan, and tell me about your being a June bride over there. Okay, and also on Saturday, we are going to the Virginia Quilt Museum's grand reopening at their new location in Dayton, which is just 7 miles from the original location of the museum in Harrisonburg. So it's just down the road a little bit. So we're going to go down and see the new museum and celebrate with them. So that's so exciting. Very, very exciting. I am on a book tour for my friends, Shannon and Jason. This is their newest book. And if you are not familiar with Shannon and Jason, here they are in the back of their book. There they are. And they do all kinds of crafty things. They've written quite a few books with C&T. They have done videos. They've done a lot of handwork things. But this one is all about sort of improvisational, scrappy blocks. And they're calling those scrappy, wonky quilt blocks. They have 12 blocks and 13 projects, which is super cool. And I am going to do one of the blocks. Yeah, we're going to do it together. But let me tell you a little bit about the book and how it's laid out. They are very clever. They're excellent teachers. So when C&T does classes, and if you have a chance to take a class with them, I highly recommend it. So what they're doing is they're giving you some of the basics tools and their philosophy behind scrap quilts, and kind of how they got interested in it, things like that. Here's one of their quilts on the bed, and then basic tools and such. And then they go into all, construction, because ultimately, even though you are making things sort of, unstructured, in the end, you do structured patchwork to put it together, because otherwise your blocks will have, bra cups or, really not lay flat. So you ultimately have good construction. So they just talk you through all of that and about, all the different components. And then it goes into the actual blocks. And they're walking you through different style blocks, thinking about them, the different components of them. I think this is the quilting section. There we go. So this is the one that I'm going to try. And I have a reason for picking that one, which I'll tell you when I get there. So here they're showing you how to take things and sort of twist and turn them. So, take that block like this. See how you got that block with some strip piecing, and then you angle your ruler and you get some really cool things that happen. There are log cabins that are not structured, so that you can use different widths of fabric that you have. And they talk about how to keep that from getting too skewed, because when you do that work, you still have to have your piece lay flat so that your end quilt will be gorgeous. Okay, so there's a bunch of log cabiny things. Here they have some braiding. I like this one. I'm not doing this one today, but I think this one is super spectacular with this flying geese corners, and they walk you through that process. This rose is also amazing. A lot of little scraps can be used for those of you who love the little scraps. There you go. So you can get sort of a feel for how you build it out with little pieces. And then I want to do Don Quixote. And the reason why is because I want to use some of those scrap blocks that I made a couple years ago. So I am going to go over and get some of those scrap blocks and make a Don Quixote block. But first, let me show you a few other things about the book. So they have been doing, you can go to their Instagram or wherever they're running things. I'll put a link and you can see some of the things that they've been doing. These stars are really fun, you know, doing for the tour and other things that they work on. So here they are working on, that's Jason working on one of the projects. And you can make them into samplers, like if you want to just try each of the blocks that's in the book, you know, and then just put a sashing and then you get a sampler. Here is like a checkerboard, but it's not, you know, the pieces, this feels like Alice in Wonderland, this does, with all of that. So just a little bit of motion in there. Okay, I want to show you here, they have the projects, and what they did was like a block that could be done as a coaster. Look how gorgeous this mug is. They probably made this one. I mean, they make everything. So here's a bunch of the different blocks, and you can make them into coasters, but they also show you how to do them into placemats. And here's a picture of that. Look at these. Look how creative those are. I thought these were fabulous ideas, and they've done a lot of sashiko to sort of accent it on the fabric that they set the blocks with. All of that is super, super cool. Both of them also do, I think they both sew garments. But oh, before the garments, this one, I love the strip tech of the stars. Look how beautiful that is. Okay, and they both sew, or at least one of them sews garments. I know Jason does. There's that one block. So they have some pictures of the garments. Here we go. Here's Shannon. They're with putting the blocks on clothing, and here's another. Well, there's that one hang. Here's another piece done on the back of a vest. So okay, so let me get the other camera, and we're gonna go look at my scrap blocks. What they're doing is starting with 6.5-inch blocks and ending up with a 10-inch block for this particular pattern. But I can do any size starter block and then just trim it down, because mine, I might want to do something a little bit bigger, because I think my scrap blocks here, I'm going to find something that I like that's going to be just a little bit bigger. And the thing I'm trying to think about is, if I make one of these, I might want to make a couple of more, like maybe make a 3x3 setting, which would be 9 blocks. And each one will take 2 of these squares to do. Okay, so let's take a look at what I have, because for the smaller stack, which oh, there's just some strips. I guess I was working on a block and I just threw the strips in here. It was just like the end of this is what I was sewing, things like that. Yeah. So okay. So what have I got? So this is fairly small, but a lot of them are a little bit bigger. And these are lighter. So if I needed 2 per block, so if I wanted to do 9 blocks, that would be 18 of these scraps that I would need. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10, that's 11, and that could make 12 if I just use some other scraps. And I'd have to make this one bigger. So hold on. So I keep a drawer with all of those scrap blocks that I did. I sewed every piece of scrap up in that 1 year. What was it, 2021 or 2022? Every scrap I sewed into like 52 blocks or something like that. So I am going to take the ones that, because it's summery, I'm going to take the ones that have some blue in them. So these are all folded right now by colors. These are super pastel-y ones. Well, there's one with some blue. Let me just, and then this is ones that are Christmas. And then I have, these are fall. And then I have kind of this red, white, and blue thing going on. This is a panel, which I thought I could use to put things around, because the panels just seem to lend itself very well. So I'm just going to do the blues. I'm going to take the blues, I think. Well, let me take that one. hold on. So let's just take these 2 stacks. So to get the little bit bigger size, I would need to pull into this other stack, and I took out here some of these ones that are a little bit smaller, because if I want to just get them up to whatever this, more like closer to this size, then I pulled in a few more blues here from that stack, which just, you know, which kind of gives me the variety that I'm looking for. Okay. So what I'm going to do is just pick one. So I'm going to just stack, because there we go. We got to do one. And this is light. So over here I've got a lot of lights that I pulled with yellows and some blues. There's one that's a little bit peachy and darker, but then there's a bunch here with blues and greens. And so what I thought, what I thought was to use this as the background for the Don Quixote, block. So I would put these lights on the background, but now I'm thinking maybe I should do like an aqua instead, or a light blue instead of the dark blue. Let me see if I can find a light blue instead of the dark blue. So I have a group of different fabrics. Okay, this is Paradise Park, and it has a little bit, here, move that. So it has a little bit bigger print, and but it's got the light blue. This is a French General that's looks a little bit like linen. It's not linen, but it also is a bit grayed down, which now that I put it next to the blocks have a little bit more happier colors, and so I'm thinking that one's not quite right. Then I found a good chunk of polka dot, but again, I think the shading just for doing a bunch of these, I think it would be fun, but I think it also would just not complement them very well, all these scrappy blocks. So I'm down, and I found a good piece of this, which is a medium. I could go back to the dark, because I think they would all pop off of dark, but I just felt like, I don't know, like a medium. See, this feels so much better. Where's the white one? I don't know what I did with that. Oh, it's on the floor. That's why I can't find it. Okay, on the floor. Of course, the white ones look great on everything. So I think this is it. So what I'm going to do is decide next. We've got to decide what size starter square to do. The way to determine the size that I want to work in is I want to trim down as little as possible from these blocks that I already did. And that would mean finding, for me, it's like finding either the medium size, probably, yeah, the medium size, something that's close to most of them. So one of them might be like this one, maybe it might be just a little bit too small, so I need to add onto it just a little bit. I can use those random strips I found in there, if I need to make it a little bit bigger. And then if there's one that's extra big, like this one here is actually quite a bit bigger, then it would get trimmed down. And so find something in between these two sizes. Do you see the difference? See how that one is about an inch smaller than the other one. So what I'll do is I'm going to pick something in between. So I'll take this one here, and let's just see what size it is. I have a 12-inch ruler, and okay, so this, to get it as much as I can without cutting anything off, it looks like it's like I can probably squeeze an 11.5. So if I use this and made the block 11.5, which would be a lot bigger block than what they are doing, because what I'm cutting will be, actually maybe I don't want to do it this way, because what I'm cutting is, I would do 4 of these. So if they ended up being like 10 inches, it'd be 4 of them would be 10 plus 10 is 20, right? So it'd be a 20 by 20 square with this particular fabric. Is that right? Let me try it. I ended up with 10-inch squares. So I have 2 10-inch of the pieced, the scrappy blocks that I did from quite a few years ago, and then 2 of the blue. So on the diagram, you know, they show you that you cut like a shallow a diagonal. So you come in a little short of halfway and you end a little past halfway. They don't give you a size to do that. It's a visual. And so if you want to mark your halfway so that you know where it is, just fold like that, as you know, precise as you personally need to be, and then you can mark it. So if you want to measure for yourself, like how far that distance is, you can, so that you can, you know, duplicate it on the other. But because we're going to trim them down, it's not going to be that critical. So here we go. So I've got those 2. And then I will stack these. And then because my blocks, some of them are image based, there's images on here and lots of threads, I want to have the image, you know, where I want it as I'm cutting. So I want the ladies facing me, they're right side up at this angle. And whoops, let me fold. This is also 10-inch blocks. You know, all 4 of these blocks have to be the same size. Okay, so I'm going to be just a little past, a little short, and a little past. There we go. And then just cut right through. Got seams and everything to go through. So voila. And then what I'm doing is I'm matching and sewing so that I get the blocks, the 4 blocks. So we will be taking these 2 and sewing them together. And then I will have the other 2 that I will get to sew together. Like, whoops, how's that go? I just switched it around. Hold on. Oops, that was a oops on me. I didn't have these both right sides up. Did you see I had wrong sides up? That's why this isn't working, because it should have been like this. So I need to cut another 10-inch and slice it properly. There we go. Now I have them right. You just have, when you cut them, they all must be right side up. And I had the pieced ones, but I just forgot to turn that second one right side up. So you always have to have them right side up. I'm going to sew these into the 4 blocks and show you. In order to sew, I just lined it up like this for blocks that are angled, just a little bit down, and then you'll see at the bottom that goes just a little bit past. And these are not precision patchwork, and so because we will sew them and trim them down, you don't have to have such precise placement of this, because you're not trying to meet up with anything. Just sewing a regular 1/4 of an inch seam, and I will, whoops, I've got a big seam under there from all that patchwork. I've got the patchwork piece on the bottom just because it's got a little bit more give than the than the full piece of fabric, and so either putting that on the bottom tends to let it flow a little bit better. Okay, I'm going to do the other 3 and then we'll sew them together. I'm following the diagram, and because I did not measure where my slice was, some of the blocks turned out to be a little bit more like a rectangle, which is totally fine because I'm going to sew them and then trim it to size afterwards. This is so cool. I love how slicing and dicing changes the block. Now you of course could do this with print fabric here, or just 2 different fabrics. They don't have to be this scrappy block, but if you have a bunch of scrappy blocks like I did and you want to use them in something, this is so perfect. So perfect. And I've got my ladies here and they're both looking towards me on this side. So let me sew the 4 of these up and then we will cut it into a final size. Here's what the block looks like, and you can see I've got uneven here because of the way it's cut. That's going to happen. You can do much more precision if you want to measure how far you are going. I don't really feel I want to do that because that makes it not fun. This is fun for me. So I'm going to take it at the 8.5. Here's the seam. So I'm going to do 8.5 because when I'm there, I only trim a little bit here off of this side, and I will have to trim a little bit more off of here because it'll end up being a 17-inch block, finishing to 16.5. So I am going to just cut cut all 4 sides, and I'm going to take it around. This is my big 20.5-inch ruler. So I have that side. Now I'm just going to rotate it. So it takes, I like to do it slowly, one side at a time. So I am at 8.5 and 8.5 for my seams here again. So 8.5. And then that way I know that I'm making the size block that I want to make, that I'm at 17. Okay, and I could probably, now I could do the other 2 if I want to. So I've got 17 out here, 17 at the bottom, and I'm pretty much on a little, there we go. So now I can do these 2 sides. And then this will be my finished size 17-inch block. If I want to be super crazy, these are kind of good sizes. I could keep them and sew them to some of those other scraps to make another scrap block. We will see. We will see. And okay, let's look. And here we go with the ladies right side up, aren't they? Look how fun this is. Now, it's 17 inches, so if I did 9 of these, this would be a really decent sized quilt. It's not something I want to do right now, but I am going to take this and put it back in that drawer with the book and the extra, this blue fabric. I'll put that all together, and I think what I'll do is sometime when I feel like it, I'll cut a bunch of these squares, just cut all the squares, and then I can cut them, you know, 4 at a time whenever I feel like working on one, like 2 background and 2 of the piece blocks. But this is so great. And guess what? Guess what? Shannon, Jason, and CNT Publishing are giving away a ebook, a digital copy of their book. Isn't that fantastic? I'm so excited for you. Somebody's going to get a copy. So what you're going to do is go over to my website, which is linked in the description box here under the video and in the first comment, which I pin under in the comment section here. And you go to my video, my website, I Love to Make Quilts. If you just go there and scroll to the first article, it will be there. And so that way you can go ahead and enter, and you might be the lucky winner and make this. So I think they're so fun. There's so many different styles in there. This one is particularly fun if you just want to mess around with some smaller scraps and maybe make some blocks like this that are all pieced, or if you just want to use some extra fabrics that you have. Now I was going to talk about solids today, but I think because I want to spend a little bit more time on it, so we'll do that. We'll do that another day. So don't forget that the July calendar is out, so go and do that. And okay, so there you go. That's what we're doing. And guess what? The next time I see you, it will be July. It's Monday. Monday is July. Can you believe it? Okay, so I love you. Mwah. Thank you for being here in the Sloan Zone. Go enter. You might win the e-copy. I'll see you online.